What's up, Bitcoin?
Everyone, listen up. You didn't lose your money. Now, you have your... Technically, you kind of lost your money.
Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to Gem in the Crypto, episode 1055. Today is Friday, January 20th, 2023, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between the community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday at 10-ish. Bitcoin Day is actually out flying. I think he's headed down to Miami for those Florida folks for Bitcoin Day, I believe. So he'll be in another region or somewhere today, so you all can tap in with him today. Top stories: crypto lender Genesis files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Bybit CEO offers clarity on exposure to Genesis, but community demands more. Nexo agrees to $45 million settlement with SEC and states over earned product. Daring drive-by at SBFs. 3 men drove into barricade and fled, says lawyers. And crypto becomes second most widely owned asset class for women, says an eToro survey, and more. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at these prices. All right, let's see, bring these up. All right, Bitcoin's coming in hot today at $21,163. So quick bounce already, up 1.65%. Ethereum is at $1,562, up 1.89%. At number 6, you have Ripple at 39 cents, up 1.31%. At number 9, you have Dogecoin up 0.57% at 0.8 cent. And number 10, you have Polygon Matic at 96 cent, up 2.73 cent. So those are your top 10 coins of the day. Trending coins, you have Shiba Inu, which is up 2.14%. You have Bitcoin up 1.69%, and MintPad here at the number 3 trending spot, up 6.33%. And added, we have Vino Finance, never heard of them. Hamachi Finance, so a couple of different finance apps and platforms, and Level 5, all different finance stuff is going on. So here are the different recently added ones. This last one's interesting. It says 24,692 a token. So I don't know what that actually is. It must be like 3 of those tokens out there right now. All right, so those are the prices on the day. Let me go ahead and bring up this chat. Say what's up to all the warriors out there. I know everyone. I see the chat's already lighting up today. That's what I like to see. Of course, today is Fuck Bitcoin Friday. If you got any smoke or we got anything wrong, feel free to call. Specifically, if we got anything wrong, feel free to call in today. If not, I'm mostly just going to be doing the show per normal since Bitcoin Day isn't here as well. But in the comments, really quick, want to say what's up to everybody. What's going on? Virgo, El Unico, Fentizi, OMAC, Too Much For You, Okay, Wisdom Bars, Lisa Lee, Infinite Bank, Satoshi Slim. What's going on? What's going on? Patrick Walter, Kadeem K, BK Crypto. Good morning, everywhere. Humney Developer, and welcome back to the show. Top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get into it. Something we've been teasing now for the last week or so. We figured something along these lines may possibly happen. Well, it has actually happened. And this is not the right story. Crypto lender Genesis files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That is right. Crypto lender Genesis Global has become the latest firm to throw in the towel following the collapse of FTX, filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in New York. And again, this whole bankruptcy protection stuff, we talked about this yesterday as well, where a part of no regulation is no safety net as well. So we don't agree with bankruptcy. These companies filing for bankruptcy, looking for the government for help and assistance. This is how the government comes over into the entire market. They say, hey, you remember when Genesis went belly up and some DCG and all these other, we were there, FTX, we were there to help you all. We were there to sort this mess out. We don't want that. We don't want the government here at all. We want self-regulation. So when it comes to things like this, we feel like Genesis should fail on their own. On the flip side, when they were up, they weren't giving out money, right? They weren't giving out money to everyone. They weren't, spending this altruistically from their heart and everything. No, like they were running a business. So for them again to go belly up and then reach right out to the government for help is saying a lot. But cryptocurrency lender Genesis has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the Southern District of New York. The firm has estimated liabilities of $1 billion to $10 billion in assets in the same range as January 19 filing. Earlier reports claim the company had been considering filing for bankruptcy protection if it was unable to raise capital to stem from its liquidity crisis. So we're assuming they did not do that. In the January 19 press release, Genesis said it had been engaged in discussions with its advisors to its creditors and corporate parent Digital Currency Group to evaluate the most effective path to preserve assets and move the business forward. If you remember, DCGs really was behind all this, as many other businesses are starting to fail. We're seeing Genesis go through it. Of course, DCG slash or possibly Genesis owes the money to the Winklevoss twins. They're talking about filing a lawsuit now to get that back. So they're going to owe a lot of money to different people in different directions, and this looks to be the start of it. Genesis has now commenced a court-supervised restructuring process to further advance these discussions. The company's Chapter 11 plan sees it contemplating a dual-track process pursuing a sale, capital raise, and or equitization transaction that would apparently enable the business to emerge under new ownership. The derivatives, spot trading, broker-dealer, and custody business of Genesis are not a part of the Chapter 11 proceedings and will continue operations according to the firm. They say they have more than $150 million of cash on hand, which by liquidity, but if you remember, the Winklevoss twins are saying, hey, they owe us $900 million. So that $150 million won't get them far. This continues to be a big story because, again, Genesis, while just being one arm of DCG, doesn't really seem to be affecting the price today. But if this does affect DCG as a whole and they actually go down, that will have deeper implications, of course, as we already spoke about that CoinDesk sale yesterday, which would be a part of a deal like that. So this is crazy to see. But again, Genesis is the latest one. Basically, if you were doing lending in 2022, 2023, it's safe to say that that program failed. I mean, that's Celsius, Genesis, BlockFi. We're about to talk about Nexo here in a moment. It's safe to say that lending, while it worked, it didn't work, right? It worked, but people got too greedy. We talk about this all the time. Instead of just doing a standardized 6 to 8%, we started getting the 12 to 17%. So then we started getting higher percentages based on essentially betting and banking on their own creative tokens, rehypothecating, like literally it was just made up money in derivatives, and that market went belly up. But the way lending was set up, it was initially working. So the next question now for this year and next year, is lending over? Will it come back being regulated and just in a different form? Or are we going to see lending continue as is, but possibly just with standardized APRs and APYs and all that good stuff? So that's what I think is a smart move to happen. But I guess we'll see. Again, the price is not being affected by Genesis filing for bankruptcy right now. Either that or the market hasn't fully realized what this means. But we're going to be paying attention to it because if Genesis is going down, they're already talking about selling CoinDesk. How many more assets will DCG have to let go in order to survive this? So that's what we're paying attention to. Doesn't really matter either way. Again, my whole thing is as long as it's done from a self-regulatory point of view where the companies in the industry is handling this, them reaching out to the government, I don't really like that because the government can come back with so much more than what we're actually asking for. The market really isn't asking for anything. This is these companies that are asking for it as well. And yeah, with that story being said, we're actually going to be talking about Bybit as they seem to be affected by this. Let's see. Bybit is in the news. Bybit CEO offers clarity on exposure to Genesis, but the community demands more. So this is actually interesting. Bybit just started up their partnership program again. They're one of exchanges of a few exchanges that have recently reached out to us to do some type of partnership. Probably just going to be the same affiliate deal. People coming to our website, blah, blah, blah. The only reason we might use Bybit is because we actually have been using them before to trade and on the back end and things like that. So it would make sense. But on the flip side, something that we've mentioned as recently in these coaching classes is like, hey, Bybit time in the sun is possibly coming to an end as well. I mean, they've officially been here now in the public eye. They've been the cool kid officially for 2 years now, right? And as we say, every company gets like 2 to 3 years of these exchanges, whatever. Bybit's had their 2 years. And as of recently, they changed their margin, their leverage positions from being able to go times 100 down to 5. That is a huge difference in margin and leverage trading. And say I can borrow up to 100 times what I have to now only be able to borrow 5. Well, usually when that happens, it's when the cool kid's being exposed, right? It's like their time in the sun is almost over. The governments around the world are paying attention. Regulators, they're a real player on the block. There's 100 times leverage and all this stuff to get volume and to get traders on your platform. They got to stop that shit. They got to do it within the regulatory bounds. And then we see that usually that goes over to the leverage positions where you see those decrease. So now we're down to 5 times on this. So to me, that was kind of like a big red flag. But stuff like this where they're now in the news attached to Genesis and other things becomes red flags too. Now, it's not saying this is the end of Bybit or anything like that. It's just, again, a flag to say, hey, that 2 to 3 year hype train is going to begin to slow down as they start to become seen by different regulators. And once again, I want to remind everyone, this is literally the week of Martin Luther King Day weekend, or the week after it, excuse me. And we're starting to see all this regulation and stuff kick back right now. Genesis just went bankrupt. Bybit is talking about their exposure, and then we'll be talking about Nexo here soon. But the community questioned Bybit's timing, killing their exposure, with many demanding proof to back up the reassurance from CEO. That's the thing with these CEOs. If people are worried about money, you really shouldn't even come out and talk if you're not going to talk about the issue at hand, not talk about the money. It's almost like you literally walk out of a burning house and then you start talking about the basketball game last night. Like, can you imagine that someone's walking out of a blaze infernal building or house? They're like, man, did you see them Lakers last night? Oh, man, ain't like them Kobe days, but it's decent. And you're just looking like, bro, yeah, but you just walked out of a burning house. Don't worry about the burning house, man. Listen, them Lakers is what we need to talk about. So to me, this is the same thing when these CEOs keep doing over and over again. We saw FTX's SBF do that, which I mentioned yesterday when he literally was like, nothing is wrong, guys. And it's like, dude, something is wrong. We saw DCG now do it. We saw Tara Duquan do it. And now it looks like Bybit CEO is taking the same bait, biting the cheese as well. Literally coming out, talking about everything but the subject matter at hand that people care about. And again, making them so guilty because it's like, why are you talking at all if you're not going to talk about the burning house? Everyone is in the neighborhood is staring at this burning house, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. And you're walking up to everybody saying, well, I have nothing to do with it, first of all, but just to let you know, there's a basketball game tonight. It's like, wait. You didn't have nothing to do with it, but there's a basketball game tonight. What are you talking about, buddy? But yeah, we're talking about, of course, Genesis Global Trading, which filed for bankruptcy today in New York on the 20th, becoming the latest company to declare a bankruptcy in the FTX collapse. But it looked like one of a suggested 9 total crypto firms had exposures, including Gemini, Bybit, Van Eck, Decentraland, and others. Bybit CEO Ben Zhu was quick to respond to reports and clarify that Bybit indeed had a $150 million exposure to the bankrupt crypto lender via its investment arm, Marana. Zhu noted that Marana only managed a portion of Bybit's assets, and the reported $151 million of exposure has about $120 million of collateralized positions, which Marana has already liquidated. So they're saying, hey, we didn't take that big of a loss. We got a lot back. He also assured that client funds are separated and Bybit's earned products don't use Marana. And here is that tweet. And again, I would say, if you're going to talk about full disclosure, like this isn't full disclosure. Full disclosure is 1, Marana is an investment arm of Bybit, as he said. 2, Marana has only managed some of Bybit company assets. Client fund is separate, and Bybit earned product doesn't use Marana. 3, the reported 151 million has about 120 million of collateralized positions, and he should have added a number 4. Number 4 being, these are our assets under management. This is how much crypto I have, like proof of reserves. Number 4 should have been proof of reserves. So that's the full disclosure. The full disclosure isn't, we can tell you we've been doing good business, our records and books check out, and you have nothing to worry about because most of the stuff we actually had different positions in. That isn't full disclosure. Full disclosure is saying all that plus, and if you don't believe me, read this, look at this, and then you see the records. That is actually full disclosure. So that's something to kind of take into consideration there. Recognizable names among Genesis creditors, of course, you can see here the different numbers. I also want to point out that it's pretty interesting that Genesis mentioned that essentially they have $150 million flowing around. That means either Marana's Bybit or Moon Alpha's Babel may be one of the positions they're looking at as like, no, don't worry, we got the money to pay for it. It's kind of like Training Day when Denzel Washington was like, no, it's an old account. It's one of my first ones. Don't worry about it. when he took all the drug money out of the guy's kitchen floor. He had a saw into it. This is to me reading the same thing where Genesis is like, don't worry about it. This is an old account, man. It's if I'm off the street, who's gonna watch them anyway? It's one of those things. I feel like Genesis right here. They're like, oh, we got 150 million at least. And everybody's like, well, from where? And then these names come out of some of the creditors. They're like, oh, don't you worry. We got the 150 million still. So again, who knows how big of a mess this will, I guess this will turn. If Genesis does go down, DCG does go down, these are some of the companies that will clearly be affected, and then how they will actually be affected when it comes to their underlying token or price point, that remains to be seen. But clearly, there are about 9 other strong companies in the crypto space that have and will be affected by this. So, this is crazy. It's interesting to see. Of course, Ben Zhao has already started tweeting. We haven't done nothing wrong from Bybit. If I was those companies as well as Genesis, unless you're going to do proof of reserves and be full disclosure and show everything, you might as well hide behind the lawyers. You might as well let the lawyers do everything. But doing quasi, yes, we're here for the community. We can show you things, but not really. We can't show you everything because we're still a private company and we don't believe in fully open source stuff. Then it's like, as this tweet says, tweeting full disclosure only when caught with your pants down automatically refutes your claim. If this was full disclosure, Bybit would have said it months ago. It's another Twitter user, but like I said, if it was full disclosure, they would have actually, to me, put out the proof of reserve. So those are my thoughts on that one. All right. In addition to Bybit, Nexo is in the news. Nexo agrees to a $45 million settlement with the SEC and states over-earned product. The crypto lender didn't admit or deny the findings from the SEC's investigation despite agreeing to the settlement. So a couple of things. Want to remind you all, after Martin Luther King Day, I mean, it literally never fails. Literally never fails. This is the third story now. This is the third big story, or at least the second big one. I know yesterday, I can't remember which regulatory move was made. I'm trying to look at my stories from yesterday. I can't remember which regulatory move was made yesterday, but essentially, here's another one. I think somebody, who did the SEC go after yesterday? They announced somebody they went after. Bitslotto it was. So yesterday, Bitslotto. Today, Nexo. Guarantee you next week we'll have some more. It never fails. What's actually even hilarious about this is how we're doing business as a government. Are we sitting on stuff? Like, are we sitting on cases and shit and literally just like, all right, today's a good day to tax these folks. Let's get this money back. I don't know. But Nexo, this isn't a big surprise. Again, we've talked about Nexo many times. They're in our masterclass infamously as not being able to access their website. And when we couldn't access their website, as we told everyone back then, this is why you don't leave your portfolio here, and things can go wrong, and things will go wrong. That's the first thing I want to put. This is after Martin Luther King Day. So this is business as usual for regulars. The second thing I want to put is have that same energy for Nexo as the entire market had for Reggie Middleton. This is essentially what happened to him. He didn't admit to being, he didn't admit or deny anything. He just settled with them, right? He settled with them because they were beating down his door. It looks like Nexo did the same thing. And if you remember, Nexo and their lending and earn product, they're literally doing the same thing that Gemini has been doing. Of course, we just mentioned Genesis going out of business. They've been doing it. BlockFi did it. Celsius did it. And then, of course, Coinbase tried to do it, but the SEC essentially told them they couldn't. So my point is, all the main players that have been doing it, they're not special. So my question is, if Celsius didn't go bankrupt, if Gemini and this whole Genesis thing, bankruptcy didn't happen, would that money be owed back? Would the SEC be after them? And even more nefarious, since Zay isn't here, let me summon my tinfoil hat. Or maybe I can get my tinfoil cat, meow, right, meow. But I wonder, let's go ahead and get my good luck. I wonder if these companies are going bankrupt right now intentionally, the lending companies, just so they won't have to pay an SEC settlement. Because if you go bankrupt, if you quote unquote lose your money, I personally would rather say, hey, we had some bad business or something went wrong and we went bankrupt, but we're back now doing better, rather than saying we had to settle with the SEC and something happened with the government and regulators. It's hard to bounce back from that one. It's easier to bounce back from going broke. You can say, I went broke, business happened, but the product was good and we did something better now. Here we are. You can do that with PR and the narratives, but it's a totally different PR narrative game to say the SEC, the government, is not telling the truth, or what they did was nefarious and it's a conspiracy. It's hard to paint that picture to the average everyday citizen versus the we just went broke and got our money back. So tinfoil hat, companies could be saying they're going broke and they're saying we're going bankrupt just to avoid this SEC settlement or lawsuit, because I'm telling you, if Nexo got it, every other company I just named would be getting it as well, unless they're already bankrupt. So this is crypto lender Nexo Capital agreed to pay $45 million in penalties to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and the North American Securities Administrators Association for failing to register the offer and sale of its earned interest product, EIP. The news, of course, was announced in two separate statements on January 19th after Martin Luther King Day weekend. According to a statement from the SEC, Nexo agreed to pay a $22.5 million penalty and cease its unregistered offer and sale of the EIP to U.S. investors. The additional $22.5 million will be paid in fines to settle similar charges by state regulatory authorities, the report said. Again, I say, if there's any American company that's paying millions of dollars in penalties and fines, how with a straight face do you say that this person owes $50 million in fines, but no one goes to jail? I do not understand how this is possible. I'm not calling for anybody to go to jail. I just literally don't understand how something can be so nefarious and cost people upwards of $45 million, but is not nefarious enough to send anyone to jail over. So to me, like usual, this looks like extortion from the SEC. No one's going to go to jail. We're not going to put anybody's picture on the front page and do a walk of shame. We just want your money, man. It is what it is. I mean, we've covered this enough. This is extortion because why is no one in jail? Everyone keep doing $50 million of bad business, but no one goes to jail. You got to love it. What this says to me, and parents, we have the parents out there, you got to relearn your kids. You got to reteach them. It's not about doing crime. It's about the type of crime you do, essentially. Something we've said time and time again, we've seen in the space. We didn't take the money early on from a lot of different projects. So you could do this or that. Things weren't right to begin with, and things we were in the middle of the road on. It was just like, if the government comes back down on this, we don't want to be involved. But now seeing not only this, but the likes of Monaco, which rebranded to crypto.com, we always talk about some of these other companies, the move actually is to commit the white collar crime in the space and to just save and have enough money to pay the fine when they come back, which would usually be a fraction of what you made. I mean, Nexo has been operating for a while, right? I don't know the exact number, but I would easily say hundreds of $millions of revenue they've been able to bring in. So this should be a drop in the bucket. And so essentially you're telling me they were able to create a lending program with no enforcement or oversight from the regulators, SEC. At least it seems so, until they make their money and then something happens in the market. And then that's when the fines usually come. But on the onset, the SEC is allowing these companies to make their money. And that's what we see here as well. So once again, this is one of those, I guess, I don't know if it's victimless or crime, or I don't know how you explain it. But once again, this is another crypto company that has seemingly done nothing wrong, admitted no wrongdoing, but is paying an exorbitant amount to the SEC. I would love to see how that affects U.S. taxpayers, where that money goes to, that they're going to pay them. And literally no one goes to jail, and it's business as usual. So I'm not sure how this is working. Whoever the SEC is deciding the law or how to enforce it. But again, this to me as a whole is kind of madness. It is definitely madness. Let's see. Reggie Middleton said they didn't let me make my money. Oh man, yeah. Reggie, they actually didn't let you make your money. They jumped down on you pretty early, Reggie. Let's see. Will be easy. Said don't even take the risk. As a black man, you'll be the example. I mean, listen, I think as a rich man is the example. Anybody who makes money, they are coming after. Zyro said paying the fine is the cost of doing business, like JP with their 5% tax on their gold suppression profits. What's going on, Sean Bronson from the UK? What's going on? Let's see. Ray Matter said, yeah, committing a crime and getting away with it depends on the type of crime, your ethnicity, and your connections. Listen, like I said, something's going on. Something's going on where everything is in trouble. Like, people, $50 million and no one goes to jail. Like, come on, this is crazy. Let's see. See, my homie lied a nation to war, killed 1 million Iraqis, thousands of U.S. troops, raided Iraq treasures in gold, and dude didn't even pay a fine, living a good life still. Yeah, I always bring up George Bush Jr. as well. When we talk about gangsters, I'm like, man, it don't get no more gangster than that. You talk bad about my daddy and I invaded your country, it don't get no worse than that. Yeah, I always talk about George Bush Jr. I think he's one of the most modern gangsters the U.S. has produced, to be honest, in my point of view. Let's see. Who else do we have? I'll say Obama's up there too. Obama won a Peace Prize while doing some gangster shit. So I know, listen, my grandpa types, they don't like listen. They're like, hey, don't be talking about Obama. I'm like, listen, man. Hey, he just as gangster as the rest of them, man. Don't catch him. Don't get caught slipping by Obama in that drone program. All right. You do not want that to happen. Let's see. CDC, I got my money off there, no problem. I'm assuming talking about Nexo. Okay, cool. What else is going on? Oh, he's talking about yesterday an exchange no one heard of at the time. Smack that like and share for sure. Make sure you do that as well. New Jersey in the house. What's going on, Jersey? New Jersey's in the house. And yes, the podcast, we just need to update it. We will update that. That looks like to be on the schedule for this weekend there. All right. Someone said all presidents are gangsters. I've been trying to tell people, man, all presidents are gangsters, man. I am actually with that. All right. Last couple of stories. Daring drive-by SBFs. It looks like 3 people had driven into a barricade and fled, says lawyers. The lawyers didn't specify the date or time when the incident took place and claimed that security personnel was unable to get the license plate details. That's right. 3 men drove their car into the metal barricade outside of Selma Bankman-Fried's parents' home. He's under house arrest, his lawyers have claimed. Now, I don't know if this is true, but we'll say the lawyers are telling the truth and run with it. I mean, listen, what do you expect? Billions of dollars you stole, fraudulent claims. This to me, this isn't even that much pressure. This is not pressure. This is what you call like a little temperature check right here. This is just a little temperature check. People want to test the security and they want Sam to know, hey, if we ever need to have a conversation with you, we can have a conversation with you. It looks like in a filing to the federal court, the lawyers for the former FTX CEO said the 3-man got out of the car after hitting the barricade and told a security guard guarding the home, you won't be able to stop us. The unidentified trio were then able to drive away before security guards could record the car's license plate. So who knows how this actually happened? It kind of sounds like a Three Stooges type of deal. Like, the first time someone's doing like a robbery or something, they doing things like they got the gun pointing the wrong way, the magazine falls out, someone trips over their friend, like the pantyhose stockings they're using to cover their face rip, and it was like, John, what are you doing here today, bro? I kind of feel like it was one of those things. So it was more slapstick comedy than it was danger, but still the element of danger is there when you're dealing with crazy strangers. And this is what I was talking about when BitBoy was talking about going to the Bahamas looking for SBF. Like, he is seriously lucky he didn't meet that one guy in the Bahamas who's dealing in something he shouldn't be dealing in and use SBF to launder his money. He's lucky he didn't meet that guy, because that guy would have been like, what do you mean? Look, I need to get my money back. What are you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna make sure he goes to jail in the U.S. Whoa, play. I need to get my money back first. What are you talking about? So this is kind of like what we were talking about at that time. We're like, listen, this guy has fraudulently stolen billions of dollars. Like, this thing can get dangerous. So seeing this drive-by or whatever that happened, again, I don't think this is any real pressure. Like, it wasn't like they went up to somebody's room or whatever and was like, hey, this is like slapping them around. This is the last time. The next time we're coming for your legs. Like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't any real pressure. To me, this was a minor temperature check. We just want you to know we're in the neighborhood. We can come by whenever. Let you know we don't care about security. It's a temperature check. Nothing happened. To people in the life, this is hilarious. They'll go back to sleep. All right, they talking. Let me know when it gets loud at the gate. Like, nothing happened, okay? This is no real pressure, but I will admit this is a low-key temperature check. They had to check that man's temperature around at the 10 p.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Make sure he knows that, hey, you will not be sleeping peacefully while we are out here broke. So that's all it was, people. Nothing to worry about. Small temp check. We see these things happen all the time. It's nothing special. And yes, for those who are asking, SBF is a 30-year-old neckbeard living with his parents officially. That's right. Billionaire to living with his parents. That's the crazy part about this story and what we always talk about. Hey, shout out to those people, matter of fact, because that temperature check involved them going to his mama house. Y'all want to play them stupid games, you're going to win them stupid prizes. It's all fun and games to somebody pull up to your mama house, whether you there or not. Oh, now I got real. No, don't get to waving white flags now. You wanted to be crazy. Somebody pulled up to your mama house and got crazy right back with you. This is why you should treat people right. Not saying you can avoid it that way because there are psychos on this planet. You could be doing everything the right way and someone will still come up to your mama house. But at least then, when they pull up in your head, you're like, well, I ain't done nothing to deserve this. So there's only one way this can go. But if you did something to deserve it, sometimes you could be like, that's so-and-so. Like, yeah, they were supposed to come see me. They were supposed to come. Hey, stop doing shit to make people pull up to your mama house, or people will pull up to your mama house. It's pretty simple, people. And this can happen in real life. I didn't see it happen. All right, I didn't saint it. Saint people get pulled up to people's mama house. The whole vibe changes, the energy changes, all that extra stuff. It don't matter what you were saying. I'm telling you, the energy changes. So you don't want that to happen. SBF has experienced that firsthand. I think this is going to be the first of many temperature checks he'll receive before he go to court, but we'll see. All right, last but not least, crypto becomes second most widely owned asset class for women, eToro survey says. While crypto is dubbed the worst performing asset in the last year, global investors owning crypto rose from 36% to 39% on a quarter-to-quarter basis. And again, it looks like data was sent to Cointelegraph by the eToro team, highlighting that crypto is now the second most widely owned asset class for women, second only to cash. This comes from eToro's latest retail investor beat, which surveyed around 10,000 global retail investors in 13 countries. Let's go ahead and give that a warm round of applause. Where's it at? See, that's why I wasn't trying to hear all this. There's not enough women in crypto. Listen, women are outspending the men in crypto. They've done it again. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, this is a great news story to see that this has bolstered up. To me, this is what crypto, specifically Bitcoin, is for. It's to help people who may not be, they may not have the connections to help themselves, right? A homeless person cannot get a bank account. Why? They don't have a home address. You need a home address in Los Angeles, at least, to have a bank account. So if you're homeless, you cannot have a bank account. That quick, you've been eliminated from banking. If you're trying to get a job and they're saying, well, we have to pay you direct deposit, which majority of jobs do, we now can't even hire you, bro. You don't got a bank account. Like, it causes so many problems. So just for something like to be able to download a wallet for free, to be able to send and receive Bitcoin for free, or essentially at a fraction of the cost. These are things I love about the space, the technology I love about it. And women have infamously been an underrepresented group across the world or whatever. So to see them pick this up, at least from eToro's point of view, as being like their second widely owned asset class outside of cash, I think it's huge. I think this is a great story. Statistics show that normally women control the purse strings in the home. So when you're looking at things like that, and of course you can just tell from a marketing and advertising point of view, for anyone who wants to truly open their eyes and wonder why a lot of the culture is being shaped the way it's shaped, is sometimes being shaped the way it's shaped because since women do on average spend more and control the purse strings, then you want to essentially advertise to them more. So I think this is all good because when stats like this come out, I think we'll start to see that advertisement happen in cryptocurrency. I think we'll start seeing more crypto conferences, more crypto commercials, more crypto everything in the market start doing things specifically targeted toward women intentionally, because they're starting to say, oh, this is just this. Oh, wow, you guys really like this. I can see this becoming more of a direct target. And I think this would be a great thing because, again, the technology itself will allow so much more freedom than what you can get in the traditional landscape and traditional institutions. So I think it'll be a win-win. It'll be a win for crypto in the market. And of course, it'll be a win for all the women who decide to use it. Bitcoin's for people. There isn't a gender behind it, a sex behind it, a height requirement, an age requirement. There's no barrier to it. That's why we love it. So shout out to this article. It's pretty cool to see. Again, according to these survey results, there was a significant rise in crypto ownership among women, showing an increase from 29% in the third quarter of 2022 to 34% last quarter, according to this eToro team. And it said that this suggests crypto is succeeding where traditional financial markets have sometimes failed, which is by bringing more women in crypto. So shout out to the women in crypto. I think honestly, women, any minority, if you feel like you're a minority in any way, like literally any minority should be in Bitcoin first and then crypto second in general. Like I do not want to hear about your struggle and how you're a minority, and then you follow it up. Well, I'm using the people who have made me a minority and made me struggle. I'm using their value system. I'm using their dollars. I'm using their money. I'm using their monetary system. You can't complain about being a minority and use the same system that's keeping their foot on your neck. To me, that's like trying to. I don't want to use this is a bad example. I almost use a triggerable example. That's like me trying to save somebody from the school bully or something, but like I don't know. They keep going back around the bully. They keep allowing themselves to be bullied and stuff. It's like, I can't fight for you every day. You have to eventually fight for yourself or go in a different area. I don't know. I can't do it every day. So to me, this story kind of seems like that, where, you know, when people are still using the cash and the monetary system of the system they say that hates on them and subjugates them and all this other stuff, is just ass backwards. You're literally saying, I don't like this system, but I'm going to use everything to empower it. If you don't like it, use Bitcoin and crypto. There's a great way around it. And really quick, OMAC, what's going on? I just saw you in the chat. Get you on for some quick comments before we call it a day. And of course, I'll be checking out the chat as well. Mac, hey, how you doing today? What you got for us?
I'm doing all right. Well, like we basically sit there and said, when it comes down to the Winklevosses and stuff, I'm pretty sure they burst a blood vessel. The fact that this now has happened. If you happen to look on Twitter, Ledger was actually trolling the Winklevosses by sitting there stating, "Hey, this wouldn't have happened if you've been using the Ledger product. If you've been using self custody." Once again, sitting there trolling them, and now they look to be the number one, creditor. They got to make sure to where one, the bulk of the money basically goes to them, because it's obvious now with the bankruptcy, this creates a whole
Oh,
bunch of
yeah.
problems
Now it's a
right there.
problem. And now
Oh
it's a
yeah,
big problem.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, and then the fact that the SEC is after them too. The thing is, I can easily see Genesis trying to fold quicker on purpose, just so they don't have to pay anything back. I can see them literally
That's what
trying
I'm
to
thinking,
fold.
right?
Yeah.
That's what the tinfoil hat was like.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
I owed $1 billion for not even my primary, but this is business number 4 of 7.
Right.
If
Right.
if one of my ways of income, streams of income, number 4, which isn't even my number 1 or 2 stream, if my number 4 stream starts giving me a headache, oh yeah, we're gonna have to cut that bad boy and figure out the best way we can cut it and not give nobody back no money. So I think that's
yeah.
what they're doing here, essentially, right? Like
Oh
when you're
yeah.
talking about $1 billion, who wants
Oh
to give
yeah.
away $1
And
billion?
hey, look, really, what it's going to come down to is this: when they file for bankruptcy, they're not okay. They're not going to even get 30% or 25% on the dollar. They're not going to get it, because number one, it isn't like the normal assets that they use, such as your building, all of your technology and stuff like that. They can't claim that any of these tokens is their technology. They can't claim none of that. So there's no intellectual property. There is no physical property. There's nothing there. It is literally quote unquote speculative. So they're literally going to pay little to nothing. The Winklevoss twins literally are going to lose their butt. And then on top of it, the Winklevosses are then going to get sued by their own clients on top of it. To me, literally what needs to what needs to happen right now is that the Winklevosses and also Genesis should quickly get together and sit here and say, look, we know we're not going to get the 900 million back or like $1 billion back. Look, this is the number that I want. Let's get this over. Let's team up and let's fight the SEC, because the SEC is going to now, it's now going for both of them. And then on top of it, they got to sit here and basically fight all of their client bases as well. So all their clients will be going for both their throats. This is this is insane. And Winklevosses, like they can't recover from this. It's a bankruptcy.
Yeah, and so my only thing is like, how deep this is going to go, because, and I get you, I'm reading it, I'm with you, and that's going to be the scary thing is if Genesis is doing this not to pay, and regardless if that's the reason why, you're right. Once the government gets ain't nobody getting no 900 million till we get ours, so we might as well, that number automatically already went to like 750 million. Trust me, people. When you talking about the auditors, which is probably going to be one of the big four, you talking about the government getting cuts and fines. Like now you're already looking at everybody not getting the right amount of money back. So I'm with you. My only thing is what type of, I guess, spiraling effect will we see? Because we're still like, this is a part of FTX still essentially, but I understand what it could do to Gemini's reputation, but Gemini as a company, I wonder what it could do to it. And if something were to happen to Gemini, I think, I mean, we're looking at a lot of other companies getting hit too. They spread their money out in this space. So once again, this becomes even scarier.
Right. You got to look at it like from this part. The government is also not going to let Genesis fold like that. The government isn't going to let them fold. The government on purpose is going to basically do what they do because the government got to get their pound of flesh first. You can't get a pound of flesh if the company is completely folded. So the government is definitely going to be doing their, is going to be doing their things to basically stagnate that process of the bankruptcy so that they can get their pound of flesh first. Now, Gemini, okay, here you go. Now I think Gemini was number 5 or number 6 with with the largest amount of Bitcoin, I think it was, something like that. If if Gemini cannot pay back their clients, and the Winklevosses are not going to go into their personal money.
I was going to wait for you to finish. I was going to go there. They're going. I think they'll have to do it. They'll have to do it.
Yeah. That means they got to go into their personal funds. So once again, Winklevosses, second time in a row, shanked up, no lube. I mean,
right?
No lube.
Right.
They would need to go into their own personal bank, bank of money, which is difficult to get that much cash because they may be worth a lot, but that whole thing of cash, do you have that much, feasible cash available? That's going to be very difficult for them to, one, pay back their clients, to quote unquote ensure that they don't get sued through all this. And then on top of it, you got to battle the SEC as well. Oh, come on, man. That's just, that's a nightmare.
It's about to get ugly. Well, the real question behind all this, which matters to all of us most, is how is this going to affect the market? And that's why, we think this is a pump fake right now where, I mean, we still got juice in this thing. It could go to 23 possibly, but people, this is a lot of companies. Like, this is a lot of companies that are backed by DCG and Gemini. And I just don't see it. I just don't see how we could keep pumping when the likes of these go down, especially like you mentioned already. If Gemini, the Winklevoss twins have to start selling Bitcoin, people, that price going down because they're going to have to, they selling some Bitcoin. I'm with you. I will say from personal experience, there's been times in this space where I have actually went into my personal stash to make people whole. I didn't have to do it. Definitely wasn't any legal ramifications. Really wouldn't even been that many moral ramifications. I could have kept going about my merry way. But it did matter that the people's experience in this space was a positive one. And that whatever I said I could try to make happen, to me, I wanted to make happen for me. Because to me, I value that end customer more than I do whatever the money was on the line. Because I'm like, well, this would be a customer and client for the rest of my life versus this few $1,000s. So I have done that in the past. It does suck. You definitely don't want to do it. But to me, that's also a cost of business. That's someone that earlier said, paying these fines is a cost of, like, this is, and the Winklevoss twins should know that. This is a cost of business. You playing with this type of crazy money. We know, listen, people, you all need to put this in perception, people. If they're giving you 14% back on earned product, how much are they making on that product? I can pretty much guarantee you, if they're giving you 14, they're making over 100. They're making over 100, people. So they're making the capital, and they're making the capital for situations like this. When situations like this happen, it says this company ain't paying no more. Y'all had a partnership. Like, to me, before I did any of these deals, and as I do them, I will almost always have a large stash of capital in the back still, even if it's my own, to where it's like, all right, if this goes crazy and belly up, one way I don't want to have the country to just be pulling up to my mama house on Tuesday mornings is, you know what I'm saying? Is to have a little bit of this to sprinkle back. Like that's like you either gonna sprinkle it to the people or you gonna sprinkle it to security, but you sprinkling it somewhere. Like it ain't gonna just sit. So
Hey,
this is I don't know.
hey, look, I'm from Gary, Indiana. Hey, you mess around, you find around the right way with us. I'm just
There it
saying,
is. I know
I mean,
about Gary. You know, so
it's like, yeah, you don't want to play that
the,
game,
these
but
people,
like,
this money can build pyramids these days. People like understand that.
yeah,
You
right,
get listen. You ever need to go to a third world country, get some Americans and throw these dollar signs up like, yo, we need a pyramid in 2 years. What this money could do it.
right. I mean, like when you basically look at all this money that's going to sit there and be literally blown out through the gaskets here, and the fact to where one, you look at the cascading effect that this is going to happen. Yeah, I can easily sit here and see that, 15, 14, even 13 number. Because number one, if Gemini drops, and then if DCG still has even more cascading effects, and they got a bunch of Bitcoin, they got a bunch of Bitcoin. If they start having problems, and then they can't basically, and then you have the SEC pivot on them too. Ooh, this is a ugly
That's a
scenario.
lot.
Oh yeah,
And listen,
you know,
from the SEC point of view, oh, you already know they licking their chops, and that's the extortive, messed up part. Where it's like the SEC is not looking at a way
hmm
to help and save American companies. They're
hmm
looking at as like here's a chance for us to take both of y'all out, especially since they're getting pressure from FTX. They need to bring some more bodies back. They
yeah,
need to bring
yeah, so
money and
that they can get
bodies.
credit. Yeah,
Come on. So
yeah,
to me, they don't care. And then as far as DCG and Gemini, as far as them doing any type of partnership, I think that's over with. I think
hmm
this is the publicity of this. Knowing from what I hear, knowing about how Barry Silbert is, from what I hear in
hmm
DCG, he doesn't take this too kindly. And as you said, the Winklevoss twins have already publicly been embarrassed. They can't afford to look weak in public. So I think
hmm
this could cause them to really clash and this get ugly. I don't see this having a happy ending at this point.
Oh yeah, like when you look at when you look at the Winklevoss's tweet, the new one, like the new one, he went into like nine parts of it. He flat out already said, "Look, we already know we're not gonna necessarily get all the money from from the company. We also suing you and the rest of your team and the rest of your boys." So they're now going to go to the civil lane to basically because they know those guys got it. They know those guys got it because normally in a bankruptcy is it's just the companies. Of course, people may throw out some ancillary. Hey, we're going to basically sue the president, this, that, and the other. But this one, they're flat out saying we're suing you. We're suing the management team, all of that for basically for a criminal action, not the fact that it is quote unquote you didn't do your fiduciary. They're saying criminal in order to basically ensure that that civil piece happens. Once that civil piece happens, they may
Oh
be
yeah,
able to
that's
squeeze some
what
money out.
I
Like
got
they can
you.
squeeze because because the civil piece will move faster than the bankruptcy piece.
Right,
You see
right,
what I mean?
They like
Yeah.
listen. This bankruptcy thing, we can stop that, guys, but you got to give us
hmm
something.
Oh yeah.
You gotta give us something.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'd be like, hey, look, it's gonna be one of be like, hey, look, Big Tony, go watch the door. Look,
Hey,
you gonna give me something before you walk out this room. I'm just saying.
right. And we'll end on this. Reno Gamble, appreciate that. Reno Gamble said, "You got a dog? We suing that mother too." That's what I'm talking about. There we go. I appreciate it. OMAC for checking in again. You got any messages
Thank
before
you.
you get out of here?
One, I will say this is definitely a good thing that women are getting into crypto. Most of the time, they do not because number one, by nature, women tend not to take the risks that men do. Men tend to take far more risks than the women do. It's just a way that we're basically made up. But
I
now
think it's
that
because we're okay with being homeless. But go ahead.
yeah, well, you gotta look at it this way. There is no parachute for a man that doesn't that's not able to provide or basically
Yeah.
get his money. There is no parachute. He goes to the street. If a woman
No,
is
yeah.
not able to provide, there is a litany of programs. There's a litany of programs to basically save them from their bad decisions. So them getting into crypto now and basically learning this, that, and the other. That's a very good thing, but it's
Mhm.
going to take time before they really start throwing big sums of money, like into it. They're gonna be doing these little things, but it's gonna take them a while to throw in to kind of big sums of money because you know, I've been married for 26 years, and I've even told my wife a few times, like that the market has swung up and down in one day, 20, 30%, 40%. And that's just like, it kind of blows her mind that something would be that volatile.
Mm.
But yeah,
Well,
it is a good
I
thing that's happening though.
I would say this. I don't know where it came from that people didn't want women in the space or something. For me personally, if I can go
Hmm.
to a conference, a crypto conference with 95% women or 95% man, I am going to the female one, not the male one, every time and twice on the Sunday. That's me personally. That's how I roll. I don't need no dudes around me. Never have, never will. With that being said, that's a show for today, folks.
All right,
Smash that
man.
like and share. I can't wait to see the new 12% at all these conferences coming up in the rest of this year. You all have
Yep.
a happy Friday. Appreciate OMAC for coming on. Smash that
Thanks.
like and share, and we will see